All right, so this is a whole new concept. I mean, not brand new in the world, but to me. And when you presented it, I felt like I said to myself, why not? Let's try it. If it goes well, and I think it will, frankly, maybe we have an ongoing series with it. I've tentatively called it the Two Old Men movie review.
Well, in order to have that title, you have to have two old men, and we're not old.
Yeah, well, two semi-old men movie review.
Right, there you go.
I like that. It's true. But most people's context now, anybody under 35, we're old.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody
I get reminded
50 and above, they're like, shut the fuck up, you're still young. They're like, what are you talking about? You ain't old. So context is everything.
Yes, sir.
So two semi-old men movie review.
Right.
Gonna choose a movie. You selected draft day this time.
It's a weird choice, I know. Yeah.
It's weird, but at the same time, I enjoyed it. I feel like, why not? Let's go with it. And we can go through some of the reasons we like it here in a second. So to you listeners, whoever's watching, because by the way, I promote these things. Little by little, you know, I put a few bucks behind it every day. So I'm promoting the one with my daughter. So
what platforms are you promoting on?
Right now, Facebook. I'll probably do Instagram. Facebook because it's the easiest and the cheapest. I spend about $1 a day to get it in front of people. I'm hoping out of that I get a few listens, and over time that just grows. And when I really see it trending, I'll probably put some more dollars behind it. So I'm trying to. So what you'll learn about me, because I am a marketer, is if I'm going to create the content and spend the time, invest and put it together, as a marketer, I can't just hope the algorithm picks it up and says and serves it to the world. I'm going to nudge it along. And I've been doing that with my illustrations, my stories, my writing. But on every other platform, on YouTube, I'll probably start advertising as well. And I just read this today, 50% of podcast listens actually supposedly come from YouTube videos. So the actual YouTube video for it, people really like listening to it, and it's free. People would just put it on silent, or leave it on. I see people at the gym listening to music with the player on, their phone on, and just jamming out. So music as well. So that's what I'm doing, and I'm going to do this for this as well, because I believe in what I'm creating. I believe in the content I'm creating, and I'm going to put some money behind it. So
there you go.
We may blow up on some level. Yep.
You say YouTube is free, but it's not. I just have to point that out. You're either watching ads or struggling through those ads.
Oh, yeah. So, so to stretch that out a little bit, that's everything.
Yeah. Right.
You are the product. If it's a free platform, quote unquote free, you are the product.
No, exactly.
Yeah, but on YouTube, obviously they put it in front of your face, and you have to wait and skip. I have an account where I pay for the premium and I get no ads. Yes. I like watching the ads because I like to see what they're doing.
Yeah.
I like to see what they're doing.
I know from your perspective, but I pay the $17 for the convenience.
Yeah, and I have an account where I pay for it, but sometimes when I'm on my clients' accounts, and this conversation just got weird. We'll get to the review here in a moment. Trust me, it's good. But I like watching the ads. I'm like, what are they targeting? What's their formula here? What's their angle? Like, oh, you're crap. Oh, that's clever.
Right.
But I do have the premium as well, because it does get annoying.
Well, especially like on podcasts.
Oh God, yeah.
I like the content. I like to see the visuals, and some of the podcasts that I listen to, it actually has visual content that is engaging. But you can always have it in the background, especially with the premium. You can shut the iPhone down, let it run. It's nice.
Yeah.
Pay for convenience.
About that review, but before we get started on the review, Mondo, good to see you, brother.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell my audience about yourself. Feel free to even share a story about how the heck we know each other, and we can go from there.
So funny story, right? Teevee and I, we grew up adjacent to each other. I guess we should say that. We both grew up in Oak Cliff,
Oh, clip, yeah, that's my hood, yeah, put it in his face.
Teevee has always been an artist, and I've always been envious of his skills. There was one time, and he doesn't remember, and I don't remember the album cover, but he mimicked an album cover, but made that album cover into a flyer for a party that I was throwing, and it was my senior year. And he was a marketer back then because we made copies and those things got distributed. And literally, our whole block was full of cars on both ends, and the back of my house was packed. We had a DJ and everything. It was awesome. So there's a story of way back when TV's marketing career got started.
I had no idea. I don't remember that. You're right.
Yeah.
I don't. I've done so many things. Hell, I did things a couple of years ago that I'm like, I don't remember writing that, drawing that, sketch. Like, what did I do? That is a great story. To piggyback that a little bit, I realized that I've kind of always been a marketer. I've always been curious about language, figuring out how to finesse words to be able to persuade people. And I was in graphic design, commercial art. That is marketing. All of that combined is marketing, trying to design art to persuade people to buy something or do something. In this case was buy your stuff, come to your party, whatever. So it's no accident I do what I do for a living. Wow. As another story, quick one as to how far back we go. I'm slightly older than Mondo here, but I still remember that you used my old ID or driver's license for yourself so you can sneak into clubs, bars. I don't know where you snuck in because we look similar enough. Mexicans look alike.
I totally forgot about that, but it's true. So he's at least 4 years older than me, at least, because I was clubbing it at 14.
Oh God, yes, there it was. Like, you look close enough, dude. I couldn't believe you rocked it for so long.
I never got denied. I never got denied.
Needless to say, we've known each other for a while. We reconnected on LinkedIn. He popped up this idea as he saw some of my content about doing a podcast, and I said, let's run with it. Let's go. Let's see what happens. At the very least, we're gonna have a great conversation. I know it's gonna be all over the place. I already anticipate it so because this movie takes me into different places. Never mind the actual movie, because it does cover topics that I feel are very universal and even timely in today's age, which frankly, they will always be applicable. Off the top, if you haven't watched this movie by now, you guys out there, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry. It came out in 2014, so there's gonna be spoilers.
Yeah.
So I ain't got nothing for you. It's 8 years later, and if you get upset because we spoiled it for you, then I'm sorry. You can go suck a lemon.
Or you could press pause, go watch the movie, and then come back.
See, you're just much more diplomatic. Thank you. That is also an option. Come back. Having said that, I do want to say lead with yay or nay in terms of, would you recommend other people watch it? Or would you say, pass?
So after I've watched it a couple times, right? So after the original time that I watched it, I would have said, hard pass. But then I was on an airplane going to New York. There were limited options for the movies. So I happened to watch that movie and I was like, man, this is actually a whole lot better than what I remembered it. So yes, with the caveat, there are some things about the movie that I don't appreciate, I don't promote, but I think holistically, I would say yes.
So what changed though between the first and the second time? Because you were stuck in the plane and couldn't pick something else?
I think I was a little bit more focused, and I was paid attention to the nuances and the way the cinematography and just the way they blended everything. It was really well done. Because draft day is a thing, right, for sports fans. It's, if you're a hardcore sports fan, whether it's the hockey draft, football draft, baseball draft, you're up for it, right? So they did a really good job. Yeah, they did a really good job of capturing all of that and just meshing it all together where it didn't seem forced. It seemed very natural. So kudos to them for doing a good job, because you have actual football players in this movie You
That's
have
right.
Roger Goodell, the NFL commissioner. He's in the movie, so there's a lot of
It
moving
was
parts.
endorsed. Yes.
Yes, yes, definitely endorsed. Yeah, by the
Yeah,
NFL.
you got the logos of various football teams. Like it was fully endorsed by the NFL and backed by the NFL. So the story was also probably very heavily influenced and approved, obviously approved by the NFL.
Yes, but you don't have to be a football fan to enjoy this movie. I would say that.
Okay. So I will also give it a thumbs up. I give it a 3.5. Definitely watchable. Definitely story. The story's there. It's a good jumping off point for other conversations to be had. But as far as the movie itself, I thought it was good. I also had some nostalgic kind of moments around it. And because of Boseman, Wakanda Forever, what's his name?
Yes, Chadwick Boseman. Yeah.
Chadwick Boseman. There's some nostalgia around that because we get to see him before he ever blew up, but obviously now in the future. I watched it the second time with my daughter, and she and my girlfriend, and they both were like, "Oh." So they were also a little touched by the fact they get to see him and witness him, practicing his craft. And neither of them like football. And I told them leading on, every time we watch anything that's like around football, recently we watched, this is kind of another story in the sports world. I watched the Adam Sandler basketball movie on Netflix.
Okay. I know which one you're talking about. I haven't seen it yet.
It's actually pretty good. Similar formula, I would say, but instead of the draft, they pick up a free agent or an undrafted free agent overseas. And they do tinker with the draft a little bit. Where was I going with that? Oh, so I told them you don't need to like these sports to understand the story, because the sport itself is just the context that they place this universal story in. So stick along, ride along for a moment and enjoy it. And I think you'll like what ends up happening throughout the movie. And this was my second time, so I could really be certain of that. So to your point, and this is true for a lot of movies, they just, it could be a hockey movie. I don't particularly like hockey, but I know sometimes there's some good stories that are placed inside of these movies because it gives it the container to put it in. Sometimes it's a cowboy movie. It doesn't even really matter. The stories are usually universal. But I do give it a thumbs up. Overall, I thought it was a good story. I like the cinematography. The way they transitioned from scene to scene was very comic booky. The panels, they slide in, they slide out. He'll walk into a panel.
That was awesome.
I think the only other movie that I've seen that does anything remotely close to that is one of the old Spider-Mans. I want to say the Sam Raimi produced movie with Maguire. I think they did something similar with the. Aside from that, it's gimmicky, so I can see why some people really didn't like that. But I personally really enjoyed it as a comic book fanatic from back in the day. Yes, rather formulaic, and so there were some over the top kind of concepts, but all in all, it was an enjoyable movie, and I would recommend it. For me, I usually use movies as a way to talk to my kids about other subjects or topics that they bring up, and that's what we can kind of roll into. For you, Armando, what do you feel was one of the overarching messages that they were trying to convey?
Well, as far as what they were trying to convey,
What are they trying to teach us?
yeah, I don't know that it had a point, actually, now that you asked me the question, because I don't know that I came away with, a moral of the story. It was really unrealistic the way things transpired. Like
The actual draft, the way the trade and the this
Right.
and like, bro, that's never gonna happen. Like, they ain't that dumb. Nobody's that dumb. Nobody's gonna trade. Like, there were trades back and forth, and he ends up getting the trade that he like that.
Rainbows
I
and
don't- I-
unicorns.
Yeah, unless you're the Minnesota Vikings who traded away 12 picks for Herschel Walker back.
That happened.
That was the closest. Do you
Yes.
remember that?
Yes.
Like 12 picks and a handful of number ones for
Yes.
Herschel Walker towards the end of his career.
Yeah.
Now that was outlandish. I don't think people would do what was posted or suggested in the movie. That was out there.
Yeah, that was so. Just thinking about, maybe a moral, just the fact that the people in sports, as dedicated as they are, it's totally imbalanced as far as work-life balance.
God,
Seattle
yeah.
Seahawks coach was sleeping in the couch, getting woken up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and the general manager was there to have a conversation with him. I mean, normally in somebody's line of work, that's not going on. But in order to be at that level and actually function at that level, that's a requirement. I mean, your family life pretty much goes out the window. Your social life, you're on all the time. So I mean, that dedication, at least that aspect of it, I believe it's extremely real. To the point of even sometimes probably being unhealthy.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
yeah.
I can't imagine anybody that's playing or coaching at that level or running a team, a general manager.
Mhm.
The main character is the general manager, Kevin Costner. So, by the way, the main actors are Kevin Costner and Jennifer Garner are the two leads. Chadwick Boseman plays a significant supporting role because he's one of the guys that they're really buying for. Um, but to play and compete at that level, if you they say it all the time, you got to eat,
Mhm.
sleep, and this is all you do in that sport. And at the GM, when you get to that level, you not only working for your team, but you're scouting everybody else's team and minor leagues and players, especially let's say basketball. You're scouting people on the other side of the world,
Overseas, yeah.
overseas, keeping tabs on them. Um, it's crazy to think how much work goes into it. Obviously, they also get compensated for it. At least the high level professional sports, they're at least in the millions of dollars. So they get compensated well enough. Most of them do, but it's just unrealistic to do. But they do it anyway. So they're passionate about the sport. I will say that for me, my biggest, what I think was the overarching message is that passion and leadership is greater than talent.
I'd agree with
Be-
that. That's pretty good.
because if you remember, the overall consensus number one pick was that quarterback.
Mhm.
He was most athletic, had the strongest arm. As far as the quantifiables, it looked like he was the number one pick as far as everyone could tell,
Mhm.
until doubt was casted by
Mhm.
our the good guy Chadwick Boseman,
Mhm.
in which he questioned his leadership. Um, and at the end of the day, that's kind of what came to light. He ended up not being picked number one. He starts dropping, and because everybody starts wondering what the heck's wrong with this guy. Because what was chosen was an individual who was more passionate, more driven, and was dedicated. Had his support of his family, had his team support. So that's why I had, after watching it twice, that's why I was pretty sure. I'm like, I think I get it. I know what y'all are trying to tell us. That and make sure to marry your baby mama. That was a secondary storyline.
I did not catch that one at all. So
Oh yeah,
I'm about to
he's
watch
like,
it again.
dude. Where's the Costner? That was the secondary thread
Oh
throughout the
yes, that
movie.
thread.
Yeah,
Yeah.
where in the
Yeah.
morning she gets up and he's like, man, I don't know what to do with this information. Hold on, let me think about it. But it's draft
Right.
day, so therein lies the
Yeah.
complication, the conflict. Oh no, we're not going to get a solution today. There's a
Yeah.
draft.
I think the complications took place like at least a couple weeks before when the dance happened, and then you get those kind of results.
Oh yeah, there's that. I'm like, when me a couple. Oh, okay, I see what you mean. Fair, that's fair.
Yeah, we'll leave that as a teaser. There's
Yes.
a big situation, which in society today, it's a major topic that in the context of that movie, um, it's one of those things that uh, you can't really even talk about some of those things without being concerned about being canceled. Um, but as far as this movie's concerned, Kevin Costner as a general manager and some of his actions,
Mm.
um, like throwing a fit, throwing a chair, and
Throwing
all
the
that. Yeah,
laptop.
yes, it's that would not fly nowadays. And so I don't even know
Oh,
that you can make that movie nowadays with those types of situations because it's super frowned upon. But that is a realistic situation where, like in the workplace, you do have bullies or you can have
mm,
bullies. Um,
mm.
but
I see. I
now,
see.
for the better, that's frowned upon. But back in maybe the 90s, even in the 80s.
Oh
That
goodness,
was pretty much the
common.
workplace environment.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I see your point. There's a lot. I was watching Love Jones with a group of friends. You remember that
Never seen
movie?
it. Never seen it.
It's a '90s movie,
Hmm.
and watching it with a group of people. Some were my age range, 40 plus. Some were 20 to 35. So we were wide ranging, and I remember liking it. It wasn't nothing like, oh my god, this is one of my best movies ever, but I liked it. But the younger people were like, wait, did he just show up at our house? Wait, did he just walk in? Wait, this is creepy. How is this a love movie?
So,
And
what was acceptable once
yes,
upon a time is totally unacceptable now.
it's totally. And then I'm thinking like, yeah, that is pretty fucking. It's just creepy. It's grabbed the girl's paycheck stub, got the address because she paid with a check because obviously
Oh
that's not gonna.
wow, that's
So she
stalker land right
Yeah,
there.
so and looked at the address because his friend was also the attendant who took the check for some music. Saw the address, hit her door, and like went to her door, knocked, and da 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 da. Next thing you know, he's inside. He kind of like, hey, comes inside, and everyone, the younger individuals in the room, are losing it. They're like, how is this okay even back then?
Right, right. Which it wasn't okay, but that
However,
leads to the next type of situation. So we'll get back to draft day for sure.
yes, for
But
sure. But this, like I said, I knew this was going to happen. Then we were going to jump off because there's so many things here that
well, I
to
mean,
talk about.
it's I think we're conditioned to a certain extent. I know I was growing up because there was things I was exposed to that, looking back, I wish I was never exposed to because of the parental guidance or lack thereof. So I think it makes a flip whenever you're a parent, you're in that situation. Like I know for me,
Oh,
it's
hell no, that is not going to fly.
180. Like you're like, no, I went through it. I know that. I'm going to call you out on that. That's not acceptable. And even
It wasn't even that
the
long ago. Yeah.
well, the intern in there was like, he kind of called it out, or no, it was Jennifer Garner's character. She was like, don't ever treat the intern that way, or don't ever treat anybody
Yes.
that way. So it was
Yes.
being called out in that
Yes.
situation. So
And do you have anything? And I think you mentioned this in the initial when we had our initial conversation around what we could talk about as it relates to this movie.
So one of the things that stood out to me in
Yes.
this movie, which you for a long time, I think you may have been exposed to it in your career, in your like job career,
I'm sure.
but you work for yourself. But we work for ourselves, but we always have a customer eventually, right? Unless you're
Absolutely.
an artist and you're creating a
then.
painting, which is cool. Yeah, but sometimes, like when you're an artist, you paint a painting, you don't have to have a commission. You can do what you want,
Oh, that's
and
I
you're
see what
not
you mean. Yes.
answering to anybody. And then if somebody likes it, great. But in the movie, Kevin Costner, he's a general manager. He has to answer to the owner, and the owner's talking to him about making a splash. Hey, you've got to
Yes,
make a
yes, yes.
splash, because if you don't
Yes.
make a splash, then I'm going to have to make a splash. Don't make
There's an
a
ongoing
splash.
metaphor. Yes.
Yes, but it's true. I mean, that is the corporate America. It's that type of persona that's high up in the hierarchy that doesn't really care about the details, doesn't really care about how the baby's made, or how the gestation period's going. They want the baby.
They
They
want the
don't.
results.
They just want the results, which
Yes.
is a great position to be in. But he really put Kevin Costner's character in a conundrum, because he made up his mind of who he was going to do. He wrote it on the post-it note at the beginning of the movie, so you have to watch
Tease
it
it
at least
out.
twice to catch it. Yeah. So
What's
So
on
he
the
made that
post-it note,
decision.
Daddy? What's on the post-it note? I don't understand.
Kept on hearing that. Babe, what's on the post-it note? I'm like, dude, we don't know yet. That's the point. Watch the movie.
So yeah, if you're gonna watch the movie, take note of the post-it note. But that he needed to make a splash, so he responded to somebody's request to do something that he did not feel comfortable with. So I think the character at that time got out of the character, made a trade and was like, oh,
Yes.
now what am I going to do?
Which
But
gave
he
him that
made the
internal
splash.
conflict. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So I think they did a really good job of that. But I think like real life is like that.
Yeah.
You, for instance, you might have a client and they might have certain principles that you don't agree with.
Mm.
So you have to ask yourself, okay, am I willing to do this for the sake of getting income, or like what is that, Djokovic? I saw a clip of him today. He's playing in Wimbledon this year, but last year because he didn't get the vaccine, so he had a choice to make. Like, hey, you know what? My body, my choice, right? I don't want to get the vaccine. That's my choice. But I mean, now he's playing, and I guess all is forgiven or what have you. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
those types of things in the work environment, those things come up, and it's like, okay, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna?
You have to make tough decisions. Yeah.
Yeah,
You're gonna sacrifice. You're gonna bend or not bend.
right.
And just along that same lines, you basically set me up, which was for me the short term versus long term. Short term decisions, like what is going to make the biggest impact right now, versus a long term approach. I felt like going for the sure thing, what you think is the sure thing, especially in a draft. There is no sure thing, but it's fairly certain that if you're the 1, 2, 3, you have the 1, 2, 3 pick, you're gonna do well. But so many people have been drafted in those positions that don't end up doing really well at all. And some of the best coaches actually some of the best organizations will traditionally trade down. They will give up that number 1, number 2 to get 5 or 6 second and third round draft picks. I can't help but think Jimmy Johnson and the Cowboys used to be really good at that, where they would trade down on purpose, knowing that they could get more assets. And having to answer to more than one person. So as a general manager, you're under pressure from your owner to produce a winner. You're under pressure from the fans to produce a winner. And you're under pressure from the players to produce a winner, but then everyone's on a different timeline. What are you willing to trade to go for, make a big splash? What are you willing to do? They had the number 6, number 7 pick in the movie. And although that's still a great pick, is it a big enough splash? Is it big enough to make a big impact this next year? Or are you willing to wait and accumulate more assets, accumulate more players over the course of time that will win in the future? I think of the Lakers as a great example, where they've literally traded so many of their assets to be able to get that last championship they got a year or 2 ago. They traded a lot of their assets to get LeBron and then to get AD. And now they almost have no assets to trade, but they did get that championship. So to their credit, they were able to justify, going big, making a big splash, to get those big players that were fairly guaranteed to take them to the promised land. But now their ownership, their fans want more, but they don't have more to give up. At some point, the bill is due, and you just don't have. You do have to pay that bill, and you just traded away 5 or 6 first rounders for the next 4 or 5 years, 6 years, and you traded away the talent that you weren't developing talent because you traded all that away, and it's flourishing on other teams. So because you were so quick, and maybe justifiably so, you traded in that one championship for who knows how many down the line. So there's that content, especially in the general manager world, in the world of sports, there's that ongoing battle for how long can I continue to tell my fans to hold off on a championship. I'm building something. And in life, you do have to continuously figure out where your values are, what you're willing to bend on, what is malleable and what you won't. And that conflict can sometimes tear you apart. And you find, I had a client once who I took on despite feeling like it wasn't going to work out because she wanted results like that, with a little payment on my end and a little funding but I felt like I could do something, but I didn't realize she needed results tomorrow. But it was my fault for accepting the money. You said it. I wanted the money. I wanted the income. I needed it at that point in time. I was like, let me, I think I can make it work. I didn't realize she was going to go back crazy on me. And in the end of the day, I ended up having to refund her money, lost 2 or 3 weeks of my life and labor because I was going for that short-term win, and it blew up in my face. I didn't even keep that money that I earned on that front end.
But you know what you earned, though?
A lesson and a half. I will never, ever do that again. There will be more clients down the pipeline. There will be more opportunities. There was an opportunity lost because I literally was working with her 2 or 3 weeks before it completely blew up in my face. But I needed it. I thought I could make it work. It didn't. And this happens with a lot, like going back to the movie and sports, this happens with a lot of teams that make huge bets, hoping that they can hit a home run today, get closer to a championship, get closer to the promised land, give their fans everything they want, this is the balance. But okay, this is a perfect example. The Nets, New Jersey Nets. You familiar with their conundrum at the moment?
Right. They got the whole Kyrie, KD, all that.
Yes.
Yeah.
They literally went huge this last year, and they had Kyrie, they had Harden, they had and KD, 3 of the top players in the world. But that does not guarantee success because you still have personalities, you still have ego, there's only one basketball. But all that, and now it's all blown up. They went for the immediate, like, dude, you put that 3 of the top players in the world together, you can almost guarantee a championship.
Yeah. Well, I think it gets back to risk reward, though. So
Bingo.
if you're not willing to take
Absolutely.
that risk,
Yes.
you might not get that reward. So
Absolutely.
in this instant gratification world that we live in, very hard to say, you know what, I'm gonna hold off, I'm gonna invest in the future.
Yes.
As opposed to, you know what, if I don't take this chance right now, who knows if the future is going to afford me this opportunity. So it's kind of different in sports. So, but I will make a reference to Atlanta, the TV show with Donald Glover. Have you ever seen that?
I've seen season 1. I have not been able to get around to 2 and 3. I believe I have, right?
So the one lesson that I really liked about that show, and one of them was about investing. I don't know if you saw that show, but basically, a cell phone is taken, it gets traded into a sword, it gets traded into a dog, and then the dog gets taken to a breeder. And so the guy with the phone, Donald Glover, he's like, I want money, and they're at a pawn shop. It's like, well, I can take this phone, I can give you money now. Or I can take this phone, we get that katana sword right there, and I can take somebody else, and they'll give me some more money, and then I can trade it. So basically, the moral of the story was, Donald Glover at the end, he's like, I'm too poor. I'm too busy being poor right now. I don't have time to invest because I need money right now.
Yes.
But the story was like, if you don't make that sacrifice to invest right now, you're not going to have dividends in the future. So
100%.
It was the way they told that story. I mean, it's true because there's so many, especially with inflation and the way things are going on right now. You are so busy being poor right now, or people, they don't have the opportunity to invest and have long-term goals because they're just struggling day to day. So, I just
they need the cash right now. Yeah,
that's right.
But it's still the same. It's the investment, right? The short-term investment with the long-term investment. Donald, what you just described there is a long-term, taking an asset that he has in his hands right now and having the long-term vision to be able to continuously leverage it. Now that means not trading it in, selling it for cash that he can buy food with right now or eat well.
Well, that's what he was going for at first.
Oh, was he?
But then his friend was like, hey man, you could get the money right now, or we can get that sword and we can try to flip it and keep on going.
It's continuously leveraging.
Yes. He wanted more money, but he needed money now.
Yes. I see that everywhere. Anyone that's truly successful has been able to leverage something, whether it's a small skill or a small asset, into more and more. to me, all the I see this all the time, all the hip hop artists, rap artists from the 90s. Unfortunately, not the previous, the big ones, your Snoops, your Dre, Jay-Z, all of them have been able to leverage their skill of rapping and creating assets through their music, to then leverage that notoriety and that money into another opportunity, and Jay-Z is now a billionaire. He has music label, he has a wine, he has liquor, he has all these things to the point that he's now who he is. But it started with leveraging stories of his past, his drug selling. The stories became digital assets or music ownership, and that he continuously leveraged. Short term, he could have continued to sell drugs, stayed in the hood, eventually got busted, probably eventually got killed, or eventually something bad would have happened, but he left and he took leveraged those stories and those experiences with his skill in rapping and telling a story and his music label, and he was able to continuously leverage it. Dre did it with beats, eventually cashing out there, and through the relationships, through the music. That is a long-term investment. Figuring out what you're good at today and leveraging as far as you can, and then moving on to the next thing that you can use that experience, that money, if it's assets, it's cash on hand. But most of the poor, really poor, are too busy trying to just eat and stay alive. They don't have that foresight to be able to say, wait, hold on, let me suck it up for a little bit to eventually be able to cash out down the line or do something better. It's definitely an ongoing problem that's been going on since the beginning of time. But it's definitely, that mindset is still here, even in this movie, to circle back around. It's the same thing. He's like, we want to win big now, let's trade it in, and if we win, we can figure out what to do later. And I think that's Lakers have done that, the Nets have done that. In this movie, it worked out perfectly where they were able to get everything they wanted and then more, and he ends up marrying the girl. Life is good. Scene.
Yeah, it doesn't really happen like that in real life, except for maybe if you want to Google the Great Train Robbery Dallas Cowboys, then that
is that what it was called?
Yeah, it's called the Great Train Robbery.
And that's from Dallas. Yes. Yes, to circle around to that topic. That's what allowed the Cowboys to build in the 90s and give Jimmy Johnson all those assets to pick. I think we were still going to get Troy Aikman, but to pick probably Emmitt Smith.
Emmitt Smith, yeah.
Yeah, came from that trade and a handful of other players. They took one player who's incredibly good at his peak.
Yes.
He could run over anybody. That guy was massive.
Herschel Walker, 1,000 push-ups a day.
That's what it was. But he was able to take that. The team was able to take that and cash in, bring in a bunch more assets. So it definitely circles back around to where we just got back to it.
Yeah, it's like we almost did it on purpose.
Yeah, it's almost, like, damn, we meant it. Like, we knew what we were doing. I wanted to definitely touch on the fact that despite measuring everything as best you can, especially when it comes to talent, there's no way to truly measure grit, measure dedication. You think you can, and to me, the best story of that is Tom Brady.
Yes.
He wasn't picked, what was it, 3rd, 4th, 5th round or something like that? Something stupid?
I think it was actually like 12th or something like that.
Oh, it's even worse.
Yeah, it was bad.
He has no business being drafted 12th looking back now. Like, the dude's going to go down is the greatest quarterback ever.
Yep.
Still playing.
Yeah, my age and still playing football. Professional.
Still playing football is insane. He went to another team and didn't he win the Super Bowl?
Yeah, they won the Super Bowl there. Yep.
How is that even possible? And this guy was drafted 12th.
No, I think like in the 12th round is what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah. No, I got that. Sorry. In the 12th round. I know what you meant. And I meant that's what I meant. Not 12th pick in the first round, yeah. 12th round, which is probably 200-300 players. I don't know, something like that. Which is insane. You would think that no team with all that scouting, all that money that they're putting into it would pass on an individual that was clearly that talented or maybe he wasn't. He has something that is intangible and immeasurable.
Yeah.
You just never know. And to me, that is proof that anyone can really make it. I think I've seen multiple memes, multiple graphics, and just stories you hear all the time. Dedication, passion, work ethic will always beat talent. If talent is not working, is not dedicated, is not that talent is still talent. Like you can jump 10 feet high, then you're still gonna be able to dunk over me no matter what what I do.
So I think I've heard it said before, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because I was about to end it there. Like, wait, but if talent works their ass off or puts in the dedication, yeah, talent would consistently win. One of the things that I find fascinating about sports fans, like really fanatical sports fans, is when their team doesn't win and the other team wins, and it's like, and we forget that they are also a bunch of millionaires on the other side who are also physical specimens, freaks that are working their asses off, most of them, and they are also determined to win. We forget that these are the best of the best in the world, and they're trying to beat each other up. And unfortunately, depending on systems and personalities and egos, it's very likely that you're going to lose. It's still a 50-50. Like,
well, yeah. In a game, yes, you got a 50-50 chance. Like, you might be favored or whatever, but at the end of the season, I think there's 32 teams. 31 teams are going to be disappointed because they didn't reach that goal.
And so the odds are it's going to be your team. Unless your team is the New England Patriots, the Golden State Warriors, or any team that LeBron is on.
Just a higher probability, yeah.
Yes, but it's not to say that your team doesn't have a chance, but to be so angry every week on Monday after the game because your team didn't win, when in reality maybe they just weren't, like, it takes time to build it. And hopefully, as I guess what the big point I'm trying to get to, as fans, if we were to take the long-term approach as well as a group, then our general manager and our ownership can be a little more patient in developing the talent. Because how many times are great picks, great players traded away in an effort to win today, only to see them flourish for the next team? When I used to be a heavy Texas Rangers fan, I hated
Happened all the time.
I was like, why are they so good over there? And that was, I was young. I didn't understand. I mean, I got it, but I didn't get it. It's because they didn't have the time to develop. Some of these players take 3 to 5 years to really flourish. It's seldom when a player just comes in year one and kills everyone. Because they're young, they're immature, they don't know how to play the game at that level.
Well, I think part of it is it could be systematic as well. I think the movie did a really good job of, showcasing different teams and the way that they operated. But that leadership that's not on the field, say like coaching or say like the general management, and just putting those people together and giving them the best path to be successful. Because culture is a big thing. Environment is a big thing.
Underrated.
Yeah. So I think the coach, Dennis Leary, I think his name is.
Yes, the former comedian.
There's a lot of like sneaky actors that are in here. Sam Elliott's in there. There's a lot of big name actors that are in this movie. So watch out for those guys. But I think Dennis Leary's character was based on Barry Switzer.
I was gonna call
back
it.
And
yes, I'm like,
you saw the same thing, right?
Yes, I'm like, oh, that's Barry, because I was still very much following the Cowboys during that era, and I was like, that he definitely got himself a ring just on the coattails. Like he just got it on fumes from the previous era. They still was some of the players there, enough of the culture, enough of the schemes that they were able to get one more Super Bowl. See this? You see this? I actually bumped into him in Oklahoma one year, a while back. He was, I say bump it. He was sitting at the table behind me at some restaurant. I'm like, yo, that's Barry Switzer. The people that I was with were all European, so they really didn't understand what it was.
So it's funny about that, and maybe we can end off on this note. But so you have, at the end of the day, we're all human beings, right? So we're all people. So while there may be, celebrities who are in movies and we recognize them because of their craft, at the end of the day, they're people. So Emmitt Smith, somebody that's a championship, he has multiple Super Bowl rings, Dallas Cowboy. I saw him at a golf event, and he was right on the other side of the food line of me, and we were, both getting fajitas at the same time. But out of respect, I didn't say anything to him,
I'm the
because
same way.
can you imagine what a
the same way.
beat down it is
Yeah.
if you are super famous and everybody's got to point it out to you?
Yeah. I'll probably do it to a fault, but I am the same way. I may say, greet them, I may nod, like, hey, but I don't go for selfies. I don't do anything.
Yeah. No, I think Emmitt Smith is gonna rue the day that he didn't shake my hand.
I'll tell you what though. I got to go with it. I met Troy Aikman
Okay.
when I was first learning to shoot photography, with a really good camera. I decided to take a course here down the street, some photography place. I forget the name of it. I'd shout it out and give him a plug, but I can't recall the name. But I'm in there. I'm doing my thing. There's a handful of other people. And then all of a sudden, this big white guy walks in. I'm like, Troy Aikman is in the class. I say to myself, and everybody's like gawking, and we end up taking a coffee break. And people are chatting him up everywhere. And I'm just like, hey. And I walk back. We did a photo shoot. Like they walked us out somewhere where we can shoot photos of broken down cars and random things. And he chatted with me there. We just had a nice little conversation. And I have a picture of the whole thing, or a group picture of all of us, with me and Troy Aikman being in my class. That was probably the coolest thing ever, because for me, he is the reason that I started to fall in love with football and the Cowboys. I started to learn the game because of him. I followed him at UCLA, knowing that he was supposedly going to come to the Cowboys because they sucked so much they were going to get the number 1 pick. And sure enough, I think he would play at the Cotton Bowl, got drafted him. I remember like this whole sequence. So to have him in the room, I definitely was starstruck, because I must have been 17, 18 when he got drafted here. It was a great experience. And then for him his first season, he was 1-15. We beat the Redskins. I can't believe I remember all this.
I remember that game.
Which reminds me of the joke is like, oh heck, I don't know, but child court case, like, hey, I don't want to live with my dad anymore. I don't live with my mom anymore. I want to. Who do you want to go with, son? No, I want to go with the Redskins. Why, son? Because they can't even beat the Cowboys.
Oh wow.
And I've seen versions of that since then.
Right.
But I remember. But point is, dude was in my class. That's as close to starstruck as I've been in my life. I kept controlling my, and I still got to have a nice conversation. And the next day, I think the playoffs were over, and they didn't have the Super Bowl or something. That's why he was there. But it was the neatest thing to have my childhood hero in the room that day.
Wow.
But I will say I was able to not lose it and insist on a selfie or shake his hand. So Emmitt, you have Emmitt, I have Troy. It's kind of cool.
Well, you said
you got another one?
No, well, it has to do with Troy Aikman, and it has to do with starstruck. True story. Troy Aikman almost ran me over with his Land Rover. Yeah.
Okay.
We were building his cafe right there in Arlington.
Okay.
And it was a whole media event, and he backed up and almost ran me over. So
yeah,
I have all the respect for him for his playing days, and even after his playing days, but yeah, because he ran me over, or almost
you lost
ran
respect.
over, yeah, and no. The other thing is when I am a better commentator on my couch than he is on TV and say things faster than he does, And I'm pretty sure that's like 98% of America. It's just
Oh man, I thought it was just me. I thought it was just me. I'll turn to my kids and I'm like, did you just hear? I called it ahead of time.
Yes,
I said the
exactly.
exact same thing, made exact same observation, faster than homie here.
Yeah, no, and he gets paid millions of dollars for that. So
I think it was all the shots to the chin.
Yeah. So I again, I respect him as a player. But yeah, he almost ran me over, and I saw him at Eatsy's once, and I didn't even bother. I was like, yeah, it's Aikman, and I just kept going.
I'm sure he's gonna catch enough of it on the way.
Oh
home.
yeah, no, but again, at the end of the day, we're all human beings. So, yeah, I appreciate you and the human being that you are, and man, thanks for.
Oh, I see
thanks
what
for
you
the
did
time.
there.
Man,
that was
hey, man.
good.
It's a Segway
Dude.
isn't only with two wheels, you know.
Yeah. Oh wow. Look at you. That's clever. You're right. Never heard that. I'm gonna use that one day. I'm totally stealing that. Never giving you credit.
That's
Brother, I appreciate you. And just to summarize, it's a thumbs up for the movie from the two semi-old men review today. Check it out. I mean, don't have high expectations, but it's entertaining enough. Something to watch with the kids. It's PG-13. But with that, I appreciate you, Mondo. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your time. Yeah. I think we're going to do another one. We need to pick maybe a more current one. Maybe we'll look at it. We'll toss it up. So listeners, if you're watching this, feel free to recommend something in the comments, direct messages, wherever you might see this. Let me know. What do you think we should review and then totally get derailed from? We'd like to know your opinion.
Because that will happen.
Because therein lies the fun, right? Where will this movie take us? With having said that, take care, Mondo. Take care, you beautiful people, and we'll talk soon. Bye-bye.